Welcome to the Know. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Gus.
All right, you guys, it's been, what, 10 years now? So we've got another review controversy on our hands. It's just about time. Last night, the internet started buzzing with rumors that 2K Games pressured a gaming site to remove a negative review score. The site's editor had kind of set the record straight by this point, but the episode has, once again, brought up the issue of credibility when it comes to video game reviews.
It's been a hot topic over the last few years, and this latest case will probably rekindle that debate. At the heart of the issue is game sites that can sometimes get pressured to write good reviews and gamers wondering who they can trust.
So in this case, a site called The Sixth Axis, we referenced them a lot in our Is It Good series, gave a 3 out of 10 score for NBA 2K18 and then pulled that score after a complaint from 2K, and that's where the controversy began.
Okay, so what happened? Well, here's some background first. If you haven't heard, there's been a big controversy around NBA 2K18 and its very extensive use of microtransactions.
Very extensive.
Even by modern gaming standards, they're pretty excessive. Angry players report that you have to use the game's virtual currency to do just about anything, down to even a player's tattoos and haircuts.
That virtual currency can, of course, be purchased for real money.
Of course!
Of course, you can earn it in-game, but it takes a long time. It's very, very grindy. There's a lot of accusations that the game was made more grindy to incentivize you to just pay the money. Players reported that if you wanted to make your custom player better, you'd have to play over 200 games to earn enough virtual currency to bring them to a pretty good overall rating, or spend about 20 bucks. So yeah, a lot of allegations about the game being pay to win there.
Okay, back to Sixth Axis. Its reviewer, Aaron Sudi, has been reviewing NBA 2K games for years, and he ripped the latest game apart for all of the microtransactions. Sudi wrote that the use of virtual currency throughout NBA 2K18 has taken the system to breaking point, considering you need to use it for pretty much everything in the game. He scored the game a 3 out of 10, and he concluded his review by writing, "If you're a series fan, you may enjoy what you see, and the score below doesn't indicate the quality of the core basketball game, but rather protests how utterly invasive the microtransactions have now become."
So yeah, overall, pretty savage review. Obviously, like the gameplay mechanics, but the microtransactions are a total bust for him. But it did echo a lot of complaints that players have about the microtransactions. However, the review was quite an outlier from the other glowing reviews of the game. Currently, it's sitting at an 87 on Metacritic and 84 on OpenCritic, which indicates that most sites gave the game pretty positive reviews overall.
And apparently 2K Games didn't like the Sixth Axis review, particularly that conclusion.
What?
Because they contacted the site, which took down the game's 3 out of 10 score. A notice went up on the site yesterday that said, "In discussion with 2K Games, we've temporarily removed the score pending a statement with regard to our criticisms, at which point it will be reinstated." Additionally, a draft conclusion was posted that incorrectly characterized our score as a protest vote and has been reworded to reflect that our criticisms are rooted in the effect that virtual currency and microtransactions have on gameplay.
So all of that has now caused a huge outcry online that 2K asked the site to take down a negative score and that the site caved to that pressure. Obviously, if a publisher can kill a negative review or even a score that they don't like, that really compromises the independence of any review site across the board, because then you start to wonder anytime you see a score, well, has this one been influenced? As you can imagine, the topic blew up on the game's subreddit, with one poster writing, "Embarrassing behavior by the site's editor, the short-sightedness in believing it's smart to cozy up to the developer when the reality is that the site's traffic comes from people who expect independent content."
Of course, this is not the first time we've seen controversy surrounding a publisher allegedly pressuring a gaming site to give its game a good review. A decade ago, GameSpot editorial director Jeff Gerstmann said he was fired because of pressure from Eidos Interactive after he gave a bad review to their game Kane & Lynch Deadmen. The event was a watershed moment in gaming journalism, and Gerstmann went on to found the site Giant Bomb,
which so many people love and I think are happy with the overall outcome, but that was still a huge turning point in game reviews and how people perceive gaming reviews. So what happened with the Sixth Axis and NBA 2K18 in the end? Well, the site's editor eventually reinstated the bad score along with an explanation. He said they had only temporarily pulled the score pending an explanation from 2K about all the reviewers' complaints. The editor wrote, "Sadly, 2K have not been able to issue us a statement in a timely fashion, and so we have now returned the 3 out of 10 score to the bottom of our review 24 hours after the review was originally posted."
Sixth Axis also removed the wording in the conclusion that categorized the 3 out of 10 score as a protest vote. The editor wrote, "Yes, 2K asked us to reconsider the score or shift to a review in progress, but I can't state strongly enough that there was no pressure or threat of blacklisting made or even implied. If this were the case, the demand would have been for the review to be removed entirely, which we would not have done. However, the word protest was still misplaced and needed to be removed, and it was while doing this that the olive branch of a statement surrounding plan changes and adjustments to NBA 2K18 was made.
So what it sounds like is that 2K told Sixth Axis that they are going to make changes to the microtransaction model and to maybe hold off on a final verdict. Recently, the site's editor noted that 2K has lowered the price of in-game haircuts. So,
oh my God.
Hey, that's something.
I hate paying for a real haircut.
But apparently 2K didn't give them any specific information about future changes to microtransactions, and so the score went back up.
And despite some wording changes, the review's conclusion is still plenty harsh about the current state of microtransactions in NBA 2K18. It says you absolutely cannot ignore how NBA 2K18 is a full-price game that also integrates the business model of a free-to-play / play-to-win title, and the way that the enjoyment you get from it suffers because of it.
So, in the end, did the site pull a bad review because of pressure? Ultimately, no, I guess, or at least it doesn't sound that way, but this does show that game developers and game publishers are very sensitive about reviews. It's kind of a weird thing that a lot of game developers' bonuses also depend on things like Metacritic scores, which is
kind of bullshit.
But also the fact that 2K would reach out to a relatively small site like Sixth Axis is very proof that they are, one, sensitive to it, but also, it's kind of weird that they would even reach out to it and say, hey, we don't like your score.
Yeah. And it's also
consider changing it.
It's also worth noting that gaming is not the only variety of journalism that feels pressure to write good reviews. There are tons of examples of movie studios and record labels pushing for good coverage of their products. Even in sports journalism, teams have been known to restrict access to coaches and players if a reporter writes a story that they don't like.
Yeah, so this does happen across not only video games, but a lot of other industries as well. In the case of Sixth Axis, the editor wrote, "This hasn't been the most pleasant episode for anyone involved. It's nice to be the top story on Reddit and NeoGAF, but not for this and not with the maelstrom of speculation that has come with it. With hindsight, a number of things should have been done differently, and for that I sincerely apologize. We'll learn from these mistakes and do better in future."
I think the real problem here is that they did initially label it a protest score.
Well, that they labeled it a protest score, which is definitely going to raise hackles because it sounds like they weren't using their score to score the game. They were using it to make a statement,
right.
To make a point to the developer, which isn't necessarily helpful for users who are using that review as a purchasing decision. And it also, the fact that they removed the score even temporarily is going to validate all of the concerns that people have about reviews in general, which is why I think so many people are moving to looking at gameplay and listening to influencers that they often agree with instead of these typical reviews.
Well, I'm glad to hear what you think, Ashley. What do you guys think of all the controversy about the review of NBA 2K18? Let us know in the comments.
And for all your game and journalism news, be sure to like this video, and if you're new around here, subscribe to the know.
Segue away. Okay, so what happened? Well, here's some background first. If you haven't heard, there's been a big controversy around 2BK that the use of virtual currency, I was gonna say virtual console, god damn it, that also integrates the business model of a free-to-play, pay-to-win title, and